I'm a country person born and raised in the countryside and have seen many strange and unusual things. You might not believe it, but if you had seen what I saw, you might have been so scared that you'd have wet your pants. In the countryside, when someone passes away, they will slaughter a sheep. Before slaughtering the sheep, they will take it to the mourning room to show the morning sun. The so called mourning room is where the coffin is placed and the funeral ceremony is held. After the sheep goes in, all the filial sons are gathered. If there are things they cannot let go of, they will cry and keep moving around. If they feel there's nothing left to be concerned about, they will quietly stay still and do whatever the monk says. What I want to talk about today is not a story about a sheep, but a story about being possessed by a ghost. I have mentioned before that my grandmother came to see me in my dream before she passed away. Now I will tell you a series of incredible stories that truly happened after my grandmother's death. After the grandmother's passing, she is not immediately placed in a coffin. Instead, she lies on a board for a few days, and only after all the guests have arrived, viewed her body, and then is placed into the coffin. I remember that day was winter, extremely cold, until the final guests had taken their last look. The master of ceremonies said it was time and we could move the coffin. We put my grandmother's body into the coffin and we all cried. Then the villagers nailed it shut. Everything was prepared, and we started burning paper offerings. At this moment, the second aunt, who was kneeling in front, suddenly stood up, looked around the funeral chamber, and asked where her walking stick had gone. We were all startled. When had the young second aunt ever used a walking stick? We all looked at Auntie Ear with surprise. Auntie Ear's face was pale, her lips were blue, she was hunched over, and her eyes had only the whites with no black pupils. Why did we put her in the wooden box? She's about to suffocate. We kids were already terrified, while the adults had already realized it was a case of possession. Then several adults exchanged glances and started talking to her, saying, "Whatever you still left unsaid, just say it. We'll help you fulfill it." My aunt sighed, sat on the sofa, and began to talk about how much hardship I had endured in my life. Being beaten by my mother in law as a daughter, beaten by my mother in law and my own husband as a daughter in law. She died. Don't bury her together with Grandpa. She doesn't want to be bullied by Grandpa, even in the underworld. She also said she couldn't let go of these grandchildren and didn't want to leave. Uncle knelt before his aunt, saying he was unfilial and hadn't been able to let the elder enjoy a happy life. At that moment, he didn't know where the thought came from. A cat suddenly jumped in, and my aunt seemed startled, suddenly jumped up and started throwing things from the table, even overturning the coffee table. There was nothing we could do. My uncle, my older uncle, and my father had to all hold her down so she couldn't move, while we tried to persuade the aunt to leave quickly. The aunt seemed to have lost consciousness, just beating and grabbing people like she was crazy. My uncle quickly called in the judge. Upon seeing this, the judge immediately grabbed a pair of red chopsticks and clamped them onto my aunt's middle finger. My aunt let out a scream and fainted, losing all consciousness. The judge took another sip of white wine, sprayed some onto his aunt's face. The white wine irritated his aunt, who let out a long sigh, but still did not wake up. Everyone hurriedly carried his aunt to the bed and covered her with a quilt. After several hours, Aunt finally woke up. We asked her what had happened, but she remembered nothing. She just felt sore all over and had no strength. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. This is something I saw with my own eyes. When I tell you, you might not believe it, but there are some things in this world that you just have to believe.